The current cab design is just not fit for the future of what we see for our buses. It's not fit for the drivers and what they would expect and should expect from a modern working environment. I'm in my office and I have equipment to help me do my job, the desk adjustable, the screens adjustable, lighting, etc. And we want the same for our drivers. We want drivers to be comfortable in their cab, in their work environment. We want them to be happy in doing the job, and we want it to be fit for them to be able to do the job to the best of their ability.
A study was done which showed that there was actually a link between the cab design, the people who sit in the cab, and incidents. And what that means is that we're not being inclusive and we're potentially not being as safe as we could be. Across the world, things are designed by men for men, and that isn't the world that we live in, because not everyone is a man, and even with men, they're not all the same size and shape. So what we want is to have some cold data that we can use from these roadshows and a lot of information that we gather to drive improvements, make our cabs more inclusive, safer, and break down barriers for people accessing the industry.
If you're doing a long shift, up to 5.5 hours, a little bit more cushioning would be beneficial for us, I think. And just making sure that everything is within reach from your seat, so there's not a lot of leaning towards controls. Safety is a big concern for me, being female, especially. It can happen any time of the day, but at night time, our shifts can finish at midnight, and it depends on which bus that you get, depends on which clientele you might get as well. So for me, I would like to see improvement on safety in the cab for everyone. For example, in the Borough buses, you sit quite low and it's a lot of glass. So when the passengers come in, they are standing over you. So therefore they are then looking at you in entirety, and that's uncomfortable. And less rattling. My ears do suffer quite a bit in the cab with the rattling, especially in the hybrids. It feels very flimsy.
It's not really a place to put your bag, so when you're putting it next to your seat, if you want to try to get out of the cab quickly, it would obstruct you. And for like a place to put your water, because there's not anywhere to put it. Well, obviously you're driving for a bit of time, so it'd be good to have somewhere to put your water that's safe.
I would like the sun blinds to be a bit more wider. I mean, they're, let's say, about a metre, and you see sometimes the sun in the corner and it blinds you. You can't drive like that. If it could be a bit more wider for us.
Challenges I face on most of the buses is because I'm short. Stepping up into the cab on some is very, very difficult because they're quite high, especially on the older buses.
The seats, they're not as comfortable. It's the material.
They could be made easier to manoeuvre. The width of it is too big. I have to have cushions behind me to push me forward so I can reach the pedals. The back needs to be separately adjustable. On the old buses, you used to get the seats where you could push it forward or push it back, so you'd got a little bit more room if you was on the bigger side. But now we don't have nothing like that now. The steering wheel could be fully adjustable, not just backwards and forwards and up and, you know. The reach, it's uncomfortable. I can't do it unless I'm stood up, which in a quick turnaround industry, especially on the yellow buses over there, it's got a phone touchscreen, and I physically can't do that to find the destination.
The survey is really important to ensure that everybody has the best work environment for them as an individual, and I would liken it to every plant flourishes in the right plant pot, and I'm not quite sure at the moment that our plant pots are the right size for everybody.
I think the current challenges, specifically for women with regards to the cabs, is the fact that we don't always have the ability to adjust the seat heights as far as we need to adjust them, and that extra bit of fine tuning with them with regards to having the turning wheels rather than the actual handle ones. I think that would make a difference to them. The fact that not all of these seats actually move all the way forward on the tracking, so therefore the gap between your legs and actually the pedals can be quite a wider gap between them, and sometimes you have to adjust the seats further with it. A lot of the seatings don't have the longer supports in the back of them, and at the moment we have a lot of seat belts where we have issues with them, where when you're actually trying to look out the windows and check your blind spots, that the seat belts lock up and actually throw you forward into them.
You've got room in the cab. Sometimes we've got a pot of bags on the floor. It's not ideal. It'd be nice if we had a space to our right where we can put some of our stuff. With the baggage situation, if you've got a cab door that does lock, you don't feel as vulnerable. But when your cab door doesn't lock, which some of them don't, you can feel quite vulnerable. They could do with doing something that makes it easier to be able to hear through the screens. You know, like they would at the doctors where they have a little microphone or something like that, just so we can hear what the passengers are saying to us.
So much of our industry was built for men, by men, And we need female representation to help shape this work environment so that women can flourish too. So I think by doing more as a group, as we are now with Women in Bus and Coach, I think we'll have a bigger impact.
If there's at least one change that could be out of this survey, I think it would be change in the seats, for more comfortable seats for the back.
One thing, I think the MDT screen should be lowered so that people, especially female who are not very tall, don't have to be stretching to reach up to it, number one, and also to be looking up, taking our eyes off the road.
Some of the challenges we have in the cab area is don't get enough legroom. Some of the controls maybe a bit high up. You can be up to 5 hours, 5.5 hours at a time. So really we need to be comfortable. No, everybody's the same. And if you're tall, you're short, heavy, just trying to get that balance right. Everybody's going to be happy. It's important because you'll end up a happier workforce. You're comfortable at work, you're happy at work. Boost morale, doesn't it? They'll be happy.